Hey guys, this is Adam Jones from London Perch Finder. Hope you're well. Thanks very much for tuning in to another one of my YouTube videos. Today this is something a little bit different. I'm going to be looking at a budget Bait Finesse BFS reel that I've bought from AliExpress. Not my usual way of doing things, if I'm honest. I've always advocated for kind of saving up and going for as good a reel as you possibly can. I still advocate for that. I think, you know, there is an element of these reels wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the kind of innovation and the forward thinking of the bigger brands, the Daiwas, the Shimanos, the Abu Garcias. But I can't ignore the fact that this reel costs 65 quid, there or thereabouts, with import tax. And I've had lots of conversations with people who have been talking about the kind of lifted FTB braking system that has gone into a lot of these cheaper Chinese reels, obviously copied from the Shimano kind of bloodline from the older Barons and the Conquests. And, you know, if I'm honest, it's an interesting concept. I think lots of people have been saying that it's exactly the same because it's got these brakes. I would dispute that fact. I think, you know, you're going to get higher tolerances on your Shimanos and your Daiwas and your Abu Garcias, but haven't tried one. So I have kind of put myself out there. I've bought myself a Black Knight high performance casting bait reel. This is the Knight bait caster, and as you can see from the box, it is brave and it is fearless. This thing looks like it could be a really good option. So it's got 10+1 bearings, it's a 7.1 to 1 gear ratio, weighs in at about 160 grams, 159 grams. Starting to kind of raise a few alarm bells there because it is mostly made of plastic, so that weight's coming from somewhere. Looks like, you know, all of the things you'd expect from a kind of BFS bait casting reel. This is the reel itself. Again, to look at, looks like it will do what I want it to do. A kind of shallow spool. All of the bits that kind of you associate with a BFS reel, nice kind of carbon, either real carbon or carbon look. I'm pretty sure that's carbon look, but could be wrong. Handle, everything clicks, which gives it a really nice feel. You've got kind of clicking spool tension knob, clicking magnets on the side, and then we've also got the kind of faux copy version of the Shimano braking system there on the inside of this reel. Now, one thing I do think that's quite interesting when you buy one of these and you get them out of the box is, if you look at that there, it looks like a super shallow, really light spool. Now, I've not weighed this spool, so I'm not 100% sure exactly on all the specs, but when you open up the side of this reel, first thing you can see is that the tolerances around the top are not great. You can kind of see daylight right through the top of the spool, but also you can see there's an awful lot of metal on the inside of that spool. It's very thick along the side and quite thick on the inside of the kind of areas of the spool. Just a red flag. It might not kind of affect it too much, but the only way to find out is to get out on the bank and give it a go. So the other thing that this one comes with is a clicking drag, which you can probably hear, which not a lot of these cheaper reels do. So really interested to go and give it a go and see if we can get a budget BFS reel bought from AliExpress to do the things that we've been talking about in my videos. So throwing Ned rigs, I'd really like this. If this thing can throw 3 grams, then it's a perfect option for people who are thinking about BFS but don't want to branch out into the higher end kind of reels, and give them a chance to work out whether they like it before they potentially invest in something else. So yes, this is probably not going to be, you know, casting 2 grams out the box. Yes, it's going to break faster than, you know, a lot of the higher end reels just because of the components that have gone into making it. But hopefully it will do some of what it says on the tin, as it does advertise itself as a BFS reel. So I'm going to get out on the canal, see if we can find a few fish, take you guys along on the ride, and hopefully you will enjoy the video. So thanks very much for watching as always. Thanks for all of your comments, all of your likes, all of the subscriptions. If this is the first time you've come to my channel, welcome. Please check out my other videos, and if you enjoy those, please like and subscribe, as there will be lots more content coming over the next few months and obviously into next year. So hope you guys are well, hope you enjoy the video. Let's find some fish and I'll speak to you in a bit. Right guys, you join me out on the canal. I have my new Black Knight budget BFS reel. I've strapped it onto my Benkei. So this whole setup is less than £200, and I want to come out and test it. So at the moment I'm just throwing what I'd usually throw on a canal. So this is a 5-gram Cheb rig with a TRD ticklers, just to get going, and then I'm going to kind of go lower and lower on the weights as time goes on, just to see how this reel performs. So I've got the brake set at 3 at the moment, which is halfway. Spool tension set to just having this bait drop, and then when it hits the water it stops. Let's see how we get on. So it casts, that's the main thing. Sits in the hand quite nicely. Feels a little bit kind of plasticky around the front here. But again, all of this is to be expected with the fact that it only costs 60 quid. This is a section of the canal that I haven't been to for a while. I'm not 100% sure how it's fishing, but it's the perfect place to come and kind of test this out. There's not a huge amount of weed on the bottom. There are some really good fish in here. Typically I've arrived and the first boats of the day have just come ploughing through. I don't know whether you can see in the middle, but it's kind of dug up the bottom quite considerably. There's a few kind of chublets and fry and stuff like that topping at the moment. Oh, that was a bite. I mean, it's not very quiet when you cast it, but it gets it out there, that's for sure. Ooh. That was a bite straight away. It's absolutely smashed that. At least we found some perch. Just getting this bait positioned in front of that float stop. Let's try that again. So far I am really impressed with this thing. It's not, you know, like I said, it does feel a bit plasticky, but it's doing exactly what it says on the tin at the moment. You know, I am starting off up the weight range. But considering a lot of the questions I get, I kind of obviously post my videos where I'm fishing the Ned rig and those types of things. So far, this definitely can do the job. Good bit of activity there. Already see some on the surface. Water's coming in from the section above. Block. Structure. This is perfect. quite a lot of. Oh, there's it. That's a perch, I think. Half decent one as well. Yeah, that's not too bad at all. In you go. Good man. Well, first perch on the budget. Probably, oh, hook straight out. Cheb slid down the line. Probably just over £1. Maybe on the marks for £1. 3/4 maybe. Lovely fish. Big mouth, proper crayfish muncher. One thing I would say about this reel is it's quite easy to knock the drag. I don't know whether you could see it when I was playing that fish then, but actually the drag was set way lower than I was after, just from kind of pushing your thumb along the side of the reel handle and just generally messing around. So just one to bear in mind. Yeah, bites chuck here. It feels like they're just on the edge of this lock. Usually at the front of these locks, I'm sure you found there's some sort of structure at the very front, and it feels like this particular shoal is sat right on the edge of that. I can feel it kind of bouncing over a couple of snags before it reaches the edge. Then it drops down, and that's where the last bite came. Somewhere around now. Right, back at the lock. Answers on a postcard. Can this Black Knight cast this 2-gram jig head with a small micro shad on it? I've got the brake set up to 4, spool tension as loose as I dare, so those brakes definitely work, that's for sure. And yes, it can, is the answer to that question. If I take it down to 3, the only thing I would say is going back to what we were talking about in the beginning of the video and that weight that I was referring to, that weight is in the spool. This spool is not the lightest spool in the world, and therefore the moment of inertia of casting a weight is quite late. So what ends up happening is the spool takes a while to get going, and the jig head therefore pulls left. Can it do it? Yes, it can. Can it cast overhead? Yes, it can. Does it cast a decent distance with a 2-gram jig head and a shad? Yes. Is it perfect? No, but it's 60 quid. So I guess you've got to kind of weigh those two things up. With a 5-gram jig head, this thing casts absolutely fine, but as you can probably see, I'm aiming out over here and I'm pulling the jig head across to the left. It will still go a decent distance, but you've got to adjust your casting for the fact that it's going to pull left or right, depending on which side you're casting it from. Or if you're casting it overhead like that, you need to cast it up in the air, otherwise it will just catapult straight down into the water. However, that's gone a really good distance, and it's still well within its capabilities. I'm halfway up on the brakes, and yes, I've been casting bait casters for a while, so you know I'm used to messing around, but it's not taken me that long to figure this out. And I think if you started with a heavier weight, you would then be able to mess around. I would say this 2-gram and a tiny shad is at the limit, but if you were fishing a 3-gram jig head and a 2-inch shad, something that most of us do a lot, there's no two ways about it. This thing can do it. So I'm running out of battery now, so I'm gonna have to go. I'll do a little outro when I get home, just to give you guys the full kind of update on this reel. But obviously the Benkei for the money is a fantastic little stick.
perfect for this kind of canal work and river work, perch, chub, pike, and this Black Knight does do part of what it says on the tin. Is it the most refined BFS reel in the world? No. Is it 60 quid and something that could get you going with BFS? And would you be able to do most things with it? Yes. Like I said, this 2 gram jig head with a, the smallest shad that you're likely to fish does pull a bit, and you can't really pitch it just because the spool doesn't get going fast enough. And this is out the box. I know you can, get aftermarket spools and stuff for these types of reels, but it would be an unfair comparison for me to look at this versus, the likes of the older Barons and the Daiwas and the Shimanos and the Abu Garcias and those types of reels, because, I buy those, I take them out the box, and they do exactly what I want them to do. So with that said, this Black Knight is a really interesting option, and something that I'm going to mess around a little bit more with over the coming months into the winter. And for those that are looking to get into BFS, this is definitely something that I would look at. For those that are kind of looking at these reels on AliExpress, just to explain how I got to this decision, this reel has a shallow spool. It has a decent braking system that has been lifted from high-end BFS reels. It's got a clicking drag. It's got, it feels really nice. It looks nice, but those are the main components: shallow spool and decent brakes. This spool is shallow, but like I said at the beginning, it is heavy, and that's why you can't just wang out the lighter weight. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. Hope that's been useful, and I will speak to you guys very, very soon. Like I said, I'll do a little outro now, but thanks very much for watching the video, and speak soon. Hey guys, as you can see, I'm walking back down the canal. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks very much for watching. Hope it was useful. Like I said, the reason I've made this video is I've had loads of questions about, budget BFS reels, and trying to get into it without obviously spending a fortune, and wanting to be able to try BFS first without kind of diving whole hog into the big leagues with those reels that are, pokey. There's no two ways about it. And I have been kind of able to give advice based on other people's experiences, and I don't really like doing that. I prefer to try, go out, give it a go, see what limitations are, and then I can give you my advice based on my experience, and you can choose to use it or disregard it. It's up to you. But like I said, I don't feel comfortable telling you to do things or buy things that I've not tried. And on the budget BFS side, on the reel side, there are the likes of the GH100, the XF50, the Spirit Fox. There are loads of reels out there that I know can do a job in the kind of 2.5 gram and up range. I personally haven't tried them. I've seen lots of my mates that have got them, so I know they work. But what I wanted to do is get a reel off AliExpress that talks about being a BFS reel, that talks about having all of the things that you'd associate with a BFS reel, and go out, buy it, and test it and see what it does. So this reel has a very shallow spool. It has a lifted magnetic braking system from the Shimano older Baron Calcutta range. It markets itself as bait finesse, and I wanted to give it a go. So it definitely does what it says on the tin. Am I completely comfortable with the idea of Chinese and companies and other companies taking technology that's been developed and designed and paid for by brands that have put money into their R&D budgets to go and figure out technology such as the braking system? To be honest, I'm not. I don't think it's brilliant. I think kind of stealing that type of technology will make those companies, less likely to innovate potentially, or it's just not really the way to do business, I guess. However, the upshot is you do get a reel for 60 quid that can do quite a lot of the things that you want it to do, especially when we're talking about the perch, pike, chub, river and canal work, 3 gram and up with a plastic, 2 gram as you've seen in this video with a small plastic, so probably 2.8 grams, something like that. Can it do that? Yes. And is it worth buying if you're looking to get into BFS as a kind of gateway into this side of fishing? I think it is. You pair it up with something like this Benkei, it's absolutely fantastic for getting out in the canal, fishing the Ned rig, fishing Cheb rigs, fishing Texas weights, searching for chub, pike, perch. It's a brilliant starting point for you to see if you like it, and then you can move on to, you know, potentially upgrading your kit later down the line. Is it perfect? No. It's a little bit uncomfortable in the hand. You know, it doesn't cast those low weights anywhere near as well as an out-of-the-box reel does from the higher end. But again, we have to consider that it's 60 quid. So there's some really good features. I really like the clicking drag. Again, is the clicking drag as good as it is on the higher end reels? No, it feels a bit plasticky and a bit mushy, but it's there. And for 60 quid, you can't go wrong. So my advice would be, if you're thinking about it, go for it. Give it a go. You're looking for shallow spools, decent braking systems. Like I said, you've got this, you've got the XF50, you've got Spirit Fox, we've got a few reels, we've got the GH100, those types of things. And, you know, like I said, there's some really good budget or more budget BFS rods on the market, like the Benkei, and you can have a great time on the canal. So if you're thinking about it, do it. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe as always. If this is the first time you've watched one of my videos, I've done quite a few, so if you click on my channel, you can go check them out if you haven't already. Thanks very much for everybody that's coming back, and hopefully this has answered the questions that you guys have been asking about budget BFS. Right, have a great weekend. As you can see, I'm slightly out of breath from walking down the canal. I am going to go try catch a few more fish and then go and enjoy the rest of my Saturday. Speak to you guys very soon. All the best. Bye.